engagement with the World Economic Forum allowed me to look at things at a macro level, looking at a lot of issues on a global scale. And many of these issues are similar in nature to our own. But I realized that to find solutions for a lot of these areas, there has to be context-specific solutions. And the context-specific solutions they come in from the avenue of policy. This is some interesting data from a company called World Data Lab. They do some pretty cool stuff with data. The rate of youth population growth in Africa, and then about 4 if we look at 2050. On the global stage, you can see that there was a growth in youth population around the 1980s, 1970s, and that started to decline. So at about 2011, 2020, the last decade, that's when the biggest decline happened. And then now, in this current decade that we're in, there's the biggest decline globally in youth population. And yet for Africa, it's the opposite. You find that a lot of the youth are in these 3 sectors. So there's either agriculture, industry, or services. I think predictively, we're seeing that agriculture will eventually reduce. And of course, agriculture isn't just the farming, but it's across the board. It's everything to do with logistics, the people in the industry, and service. Of course, we're talking about ICT. As you can see, there's been a big tech boom and the kind. So entrepreneurship is a very, very big factor. And if I circle back to what we talked about on the policy side, it's really going to be very context specific for you to understand if you're doing something in this sector, what kind of policies support what you're trying to do. And I know that we've talked about starting a business, kick off, don't, just hit the ground running, learn as you go, fail fast, pick up again. But some of the things that could prevent you from failing, doing the kind of research about your sector specific, especially when it comes to the policies at a country level. So we've addressed policy, and there's so many different things about policy that would be enablers for you, and it's important to think about them. And then you think about the next thing, which is technology. So technology, in the simple sense, is an enabler, and it's been an accelerant for very different businesses. And in this day and age, it's important for us who are starting out or being entrepreneurial to think about what type of technology do you need to learn in the space that you are creating in, because one of the things you can't avoid now is tech. And of course, if we're thinking about the employment sector, one of the ones I haven't highlighted here is influencers, right? So if we're talking about TikTok videos and content creation, there's people making money from that, but it's not being counted. And one of the things that's going to be important as we go down the road is that with the involvement of AI and all these things, governments are going to start having rules and regulations and policies that govern AI. And you might find that you're on the wrong side of history, because you might have created an app that is collecting data, and that's sensitive data that shouldn't be shared, and now you're publicly portraying that. And if the government finds out, and there are rules and regulations and policies that govern that, and you're not aware, you can be caught on the wrong side of history. You'd be arrested, and you wouldn't understand why. So the tech is a very important piece. Now, coming into the bit that I'm passionate about, which is the creative industry. And if I'm to give my own story, I was an artist. I took time off from drawing. But I remember, I think in school, the first time I really had that public experience is I drew a picture of, they told us to write a composition. So I drew a picture of me and my mom shopping. But the picture of me I'd copied it from a comic book. So I looked like young Clark Kent with like curly hair at the front here. And generally, I'm sure the teacher looked and said, "This is not you," but I got 10 out of 10 for the drawing. So it was nice, because that allowed me to feel like, okay, creative drawing is really nice. And I went on to actually be top of my class through the art spaces, and I wanted to be an architect. That changed because I took a tech journey, but I spoke to someone very wise a while ago, a few days back, and he told me, you didn't really kill the architecture journey. You have remained an architect, but now you're designing spaces for governments, for people to be able to produce and create content in. Because a lot of my advisory work has been in the space of understanding the landscape, the government, the level of education, the kind of policies that exist. Where is the infrastructure right now? How do you connect it? How do you make them think about 10 years from now, 20 years from now? And how do you capacity build to do that? So that type of advisory That art journey has been very interesting for me, and I'm really passionate about the creative sector. I believe we have it in Africa a lot. So if we're talking about music, we're talking about film, we're talking about artists, artisans, creative, it's been there for a while. We all know it. But the idea around it is that people think, okay, what do you do? Oh, I'm an artist. You're unemployed, you know? So it's the immediate thought, right? It's not, it doesn't, but what we're thinking is it's very fragmented. So what would be nice is we have fintech, we have agri-tech, we have edu-tech. What I came up with is createch, which is creative tech. So it would be nice to have createch, to find a way to use technology to advance what we're doing, but more so to consolidate all the gifts we have on the nation and find a way to make sure that the creative space we have can be sustainably represented, not as a one-off, not as a case of I made a song and now I'm number one, but okay, what happens tomorrow? You know, if you've done it, what policies touch on each sector that we are creating in, and how do they affect you? What kind of research have you done about the space that you're opening up into? What advantages can you get from government if there are subsidies or if there are entities that are funding what you're trying to do? The second one is technology. It's not enough to know what you want to do. It's more important to understand how that can be accelerated with the use of technology, and then you need to learn that technology, and you need to know at least enough about it in such a way that even if you employ others, they know everything, and you don't know, what you're actually doing on the tech space. Thank you for your time.